Imagine a vibrant discussion between people that includes both openness and critical thought in the pursuit of truth. The Purchasing Truth podcast is an experience, a journey, an exploration of the impact that negative messages in politics and the media have on our families, community, society, and nation. Join your hosts, Bill Stierle and Tom Hazard, to discover new concepts and language strategies that will reveal effective ways of establishing truth. This podcast series will tackle current events, leadership challenges, healthcare confusion, integrity in business, and many other areas that affect us all. Gain clarity and understanding of the various truth perspectives. Welcome to Purchasing Truth.
Welcome back to Purchasing Truth. I'm Tom Hazard, along with your host, Bill Stierle. And, Bill, we talked last time we talked about outrage and fast food language and things like that. And it really, so many things are happening right now that are making me think about marketing messages, getting messages to stick, and what works and what doesn't, and the irony of some of those, messages. And so let's start there today, because I think it'll be very intriguing and informative for our listeners.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that one of the things, Tom, that I'd like our listeners to really know about is that how do we get communication to stick? How do we make it so that the listener is going to tell me more, or I'm a little more interested, or how can I buy this thing now? What? I can't afford it, but wait a minute, there's 3 easy payments. Maybe I can do it that way. Oh, wait, I can put it on a credit card. Wait a minute, I can mortgage my house for this. That's fantastic. I can have the thing I want that I can't afford. I can have it now. So marketing messages and messages of engagement are a necessary tool inside a capitalist system that needs to maintain relevance. It needs to eat more food. And that food is ears and eyes and attention and impression. And so anything to get engagement, very much turns into, the Music Man show, the Broadway show of, here's this town. And you brought up the Simpsons episode. And if you could tell people about that, I mean, that's the thing. And even the original Music Man is really a big part of this, which a lot of people don't know that musical, which is kind of dates us.
So let me just quick give the sort of 30-second synopsis here of these. And that, the Music Man is a story about really a marketing and salesperson who descends on this unsuspecting, call it Western town at the time, although it's really set back in the railroad era, right? So I don't know how far west it really was, but he's trying to sell and make money in this town. And what he does is, and you don't even realize as you're watching it, because it's a sort of light-hearted, lot of songs, musical, and it's a fun experience, watching this musical, or there's a couple different movies. There's an original version and there's a newer one that I think Matthew Broderick was the star of. And he stirs up outrage in this town over the youth, all their children, as they're growing up, this youth, and how they're being corrupted. And he fabricates this concern that wasn't even there about playing pool in the pool hall, and that's the root of all their evil. And the idea is to stir up outrage so that they will believe him and buy whatever he's selling. Right. And there was a sort of a modern take on this, an episode of The Simpsons. I say modern, but I think it's actually 20 years old at this point. Can you believe The Simpsons is more than 30 years old? I mean, this show is still running today. It's amazing. But there was an episode called The Monorail, which really, again, it's kind of loosely based on the Music Man concept, where salesman comes to town, stirs up outrage, and then convinces the entire town they need to all contribute, dig deep into their pockets, and pay for this monorail, which is somehow going to save them from whatever it is that he was telling them is their problem. And before you know it, there's this song. It is kind of done like a musical, where the entire cast of the Simpsons, the entire town, is singing and cheering for this monorail. And by the way, that episode was written by Conan O'Brien before he was a late night host. But so it's really there. It's kind of like they're parodies and making fun of something very real that happens in America, and maybe it happens other places too, but all we know is America, because that's where we are. That outrage and marketing messages and getting messages to stick is how it's how you become the Pied Piper. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. The hard part about this is that there's a line that ethical people take. They go like, well, we're going to push this, but we're not going to cross this line. And then there's lines that unethical people pick, which is, I will lie until I get the level of enrollment I need. So you can then send out a flyer to every American citizen or every German citizen and get them to believe anything you want through saturation, stay after it. So the idea of a political attack on a person. If Trump plays a victim, then anything that he's done wrong can be put in the category of a political attack. Whereas if anything Hillary Clinton has done wrong, it's a political attack too. I mean, if we take a look at a comparison of an email server and then the private texting that was going on between everybody, oh my gosh, it's like worse than that whole email server thing is.
And talk about unsecure. Text messages are the least secure way to send messages these days, right?
So it's anything to get engagement. So all of Trump's lawsuits are more about getting engagement to show that he is going to fight, and he is going to be messaged, and he's going to counter message the lawsuit. Even if he loses, it's money well spent. That's the thing that I want our listeners to hear. Even if somebody loses a lawsuit, it's money well spent as a marketing ploy that you can then say, the courts didn't find for me, but I was innocent. They didn't look at all the evidence. They didn't weigh in my favor, but that's because they didn't see X, Y, and Z. Still, no, this you can buy my condo because they were just had it out for me. They have 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 it out for me. And that's what, person pulls off a criminal thing. They have it out for me. And if you stay after the message, they have it out for me, and the person likes you, they'll believe you that somebody else has it out for them because there is an outside element. So a lawsuit to gain a political advantage is something Trump has used since 1973, I think, when they countersued the state of the city of New York or whatever. And that outrage, it's marketing to the place of outrage that is really trouble. So what do we do about it? How do you counter message that? I
would love to know that, Bill, because clearly Trump's opponents are very bad at it. I mean, if you want to look at it for a moment in terms of Democrats and Republicans, the Republicans are much better at marketing messages and getting eyeballs and getting messages to stick to the Democrats are. The Democrats are sort of trying to sit in the place of, moral high ground. And nobody cares, in terms of what people are hearing and talking about. And like you were saying with these lawsuits with Trump, I mean, he's been losing every little battle along the way, with judges ruling against him, whether it's releasing of his taxes to the Senate.
See, it's funny, even as you're talking there.
I'm sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher, aren't I?
You are. You are Charlie Brown's teacher right now. And that's very funny. But it's true. But that validation that you're doing gives you confidence. And it also gives the left confidence. It gives the left confidence. He's losing every battle. But he's not. That's not the war.
Well, I guess the difference is, what battle are you fighting? Or is Trump fighting? Yeah.
Yes, he's losing in the court of law, but he is not losing in the court of public opinion. He's gaining strength by marketing messaging.
And the same thing is happening with the subpoena over records in the January 6th committee.
Yes.
That the courts keep ruling against Trump and saying, no, executive privilege resides with the current president, not you. But all he's doing is like, yeah, I don't care what they're saying. And he is dominating the headlines with his messaging.
That's right. He dominates with his messaging. It's kind of they pour the foundation and he puts the false building on top of it. The foundation's a lie. But now all of a sudden you look at, but wait a minute, there's walls here. There's a roof on it. Yeah, it's made out of sticks, but who cares? That's the best building ever. It's really, really tough. And all they've got to do is find an angle that they can play into and play off of. And they will lean into it just to get the false marketing message of outrage. So
I didn't realize it, Bill, as we talked about, setting up this episode and what we were going to talk about. We were talking about the metaphor of the Music Man, and
right.
I didn't realize at that time that Trump is the Music Man.
He is.
He
is the Music Man.
That's
right.
Yeah, it's obvious to me now, but at the time it's like,
now,
I was more thinking about marketing messages and getting them to stick and all that.
Right.
But it's really, no, he's the one who's come into the town. He's sort of the outsider coming in, tells everyone what's wrong with their lives, stirs up outrage, and whatever he wants to sell you as a solution is what most people are going to get on board with.
It's interesting now. Here's the $1 million idea for anybody that wants to counter program. I can see it now. The Lincoln Project puts out a video of a digitally replace the Music Man with Trump's being the Music Man, and does all those different messages.
And maybe even changes the lyrics to modernize it to whatever the latest one of his actual battles, right?
And you can literally do like 6 different versions of that, of the different things. And what'll happen is, I think it's like we're under a spell, and both a spell and a curse of the pro and the con that goes with marketing and promotion and messaging. It's a spell is getting you to believe something for you to fall asleep enough in order to have loyalty. A curse is something that's going to scare the crap out of you so that it moves you into inaction against something that's of your own accord. So if something of your own value. So if I tell somebody that Obamacare is bad for them, but really it's good for them, but I tell them it's bad for them enough because I don't want to be known as one of those takers, but then gets cancer, then doesn't have the money to buy, there's no medical insurance for them. but they voted against their interest. See, the curses and spells work like that, and it's language based, and that's the thing to really grab a hold of here.
And it's interesting because I think if we stick with this curses and spells thing for a moment, and we think back to 2020, the virus is new. Trump is talking about Operation Warp Speed, getting the vaccine created that's going to get us out of it. And then he's not actually really selling the vaccine once it comes out. He's the more of the spell is,
no, you can do it if you want to do it. You don't have
yeah.
to. Why you have to do it? We're independent. We're an independent American. And just by doing that, I mean, what does it mean to lose, 800,000 lives? What does that mean? What does that really mean? If you're a public servant, if you're going into government because it's about public service, and if you're really serving the public, really, and you have the opportunity to keep on message, even though it's not popular, because it's in the best interest and it's a part of public service, that's really hard. And Biden is not the same kind of music man. I mean, no. It's not, he can't do that. He's a very, very informal person. He's very interpersonal. He's got the touchy-feely thing going. He does care for others, but that's not the trumpeter of the person saying a message that's adversarial every day during the Trump administration. It was like, what is the guy going to say next? He made politics, a game show. And it's really hard to break America out of that, to go, government is not supposed to be a game show. It's a public service that we kind of report on and appreciates there. It's like he's gotten us to stare at the floor, at the foundation, and saying, no, the foundation is cracked. But no, it's not cracked. Yes, it's cracked. And no, it's not cracked. The foundation's cracked. No, it's not cracked. We can fix it later. No, let's fix it now. No, we can fix it later. Now we can fix it now. Do you see how dizzying that is? As I'm talking, it's dizzying. Now, to break that, that's one of the things we get to is, how do you talk about what does integrity look like, and what does mutual respect look like? What does growth look like? What does it take to really build a coalition or a cooperative group of decision makers that, maybe doesn't, rebuild the mansion, but realizes that we've got to do something about our infrastructure, and we put it off too long in a lot of ways. So we're really struggling, because the music man mindset is like a football coach that's inspiring, a team to lose a game so they have the first draft pick. I mean, it's not a good model.
Wow, that's very interesting you said that. Doesn't that sort of feel like what it is? Trump put us in such turmoil as a country for 5 years, let's include when he was running, and highly controversial, always stoking outrage. It was like a game show. It wasn't meeting people's need for basic support and stability. And Biden really was the candidate that was sort of the opposite of that. People wanted to get off the roller coaster, but once they get off the roller coaster, it may be pretty boring, and it's not as exciting. It's not going to grab their attention.
That's why his approval rating is so low. It's so boring, because who wants to stare at cement drying and concrete going? Who wants to stare at that when the Trump's promising that you're going to put speckles in it and it's going to be the best cement ever, and you won't believe what'll happen to this cement? And it's, by the way, even though you're calling it 5 years' time, it's 6 with the insurrection.
Well, and it's still,
it's going to be 7 with his headlines now. It's going to be 7 with his legal cases. And then it's going to be, guess what? Another 2 years on whether or not he's going to run in 2024.
Sure.
We're on, as we talked about the last time, we're on the fast food diet of language. We're being marketed in such a way that we're pounded and we're exasperated. And can't we just get somebody with integrity that can send a clean message in order to get to a place to talk to angry people that have been sent a message that wasn't truthful and sent a message that wasn't honest?
And you know what's really sad, Bill, is the Democrats and the Biden administration, whoever you want to, call out on the side that is not getting messages to stick, can get some skills, can hire some consultants, can, learn what they don't know if they just had awareness of how much this is killing what they're trying to do in serving people. They don't get it. And they need someone to help manage their communications, their messages.
They really do. They really do. So, well, more to come on how do we get those messages forward. It's like it's getting mutual respect, integrity, a common unity around the word America. Again, what does that America stand for? And getting people to really engage in the process of collaboration and cooperation in a new way, which is really, really important.
Agreed. Okay, Bill, thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this Purchasing Truth podcast. We trust that you have enjoyed this engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Our hope is that you've received value, found clarity, and broadened your truth perspective in this episode. If you did, leave us a review or visit our website, purchasingtruth.com. Join us again for another informative and content-rich discussion here at the Purchasing Truth podcast. Don't just accept whatever information comes your way. Join the discussion. Discover your own voice. Purchase your own truth.